Welcome everyone, my name is Mustafa, otherwise known as Chris, and welcome to more War Thunder. Now if you're new around here, yes I do War Thunder, I've done a couple of episodes before, I'm planning on doing more in the future, so if you want more Thunder then I do it, but obviously, you know, there's like a gazillion other YouTubers who do it too, so it's really up to you if you want to stick around. But today I'm going to go over some Japanese aircraft that I really enjoy and I think you'll really enjoy too. I'm not going to go too in depth about what their like armaments are and stuff like that, but I'm just going to tell you how they play and what you probably will experience in combat if you use them similarly to the way I use them. Obviously, I am primarily in this game as a Japanese fighter. I don't like the bombers very much. I'm going to go into that later in the episode, and I promise I will come back to it for once. Normally, I will say, oh yeah, I'll go back to it, and I never do, but I will, I promise. So yeah, I'm just going to go over the Japanese aircraft and what I like about them, and then I've got a couple of other things to talk about at the end of the video to do with my channel. So if you're interested in that, just the channel stuff, then, you know, skip ahead. I imagine, just click the annotation at the top of the screen and take you straight there. But otherwise, stick around. So yeah, the Japanese aircraft. Now what you're seeing on screen now is not a Japanese aircraft. It's the Bf-109, it's a German aircraft. The reason I've got this is if you spend a little bit of money, it's not much at all, I spent £10, and that gave me 2,500 in-game gold. Now this gold is like, it's like a premium currency. You have to spend real money to get that kind of money. You do get 200 free gold eagles if you that's what they're called anyway. You do get 200 free ones, but just by doing free tutorials at the beginning of the game. You don't have to do them if you don't want to, but I do recommend you do it. It teaches you how the game plays. So you do get 200 free ones, but it's not going to be buying you any aircraft. Now this aircraft cost me 1,000 gold eagles, I believe. I think it was something like that anyway. But I bought it mainly because I have used a German aircraft, and I always see people using the Bf-109. And I thought, seeing as I did have some really bad fighters, it's only now at this later level I've got some good ones. So I just used it to replace some aircraft I didn't like, and it worked out as quite a good condition. But anyway, so the Japanese aircraft I like, if you want the quick list, I like the Ki-43 as a starting plane. I wouldn't use it in the later levels though. I also like all three variants of the Ki-61, and I love the Zeros, otherwise known as the A6M series. You've got the M2, the M3, and I believe there's another version if you buy a DLC pack, you get it as a gift. So it's technically part of a DLC, if you think about it. It looks like a gift, but if you think about it, the only way you can unlock it is by buying the DLC, so really, it's part of a DLC. So, so I can't really rate that, but that's called the AM63 Corizon as far as I know. I haven't tried that out, I've seen people use it. It's an aircraft, I don't really know too much about it. But yeah, so now I'm going to go over why I like these particular aircraft that I've mentioned. Now the Ki-43, as a starting fighter for the Japanese anyway, you don't get anything decent up until that point, in my opinion. Obviously, the people might disagree with that, but I personally didn't really like the fighters up until that point, or the bombers for that matter. I don't think there was any bombers as far as I remember. Oh no, there was one bomber, but it wasn't great, and I can't even remember the name of it. That's how bad it was. But it's not really a bomber. It's more of a plane that carries one single bomb, which I don't really class as a bomber, even though you might think it's a bomber. But one bomb, really, it's not going to do much, especially if it's a 50 kilogram. You can get like one armoured vehicle with it if you're lucky. So, good luck. But yeah, I don't really like the bombers for Japanese, and like I said, I'm going to get into that later. But yeah, the Ki-43 is like the first decent aircraft you unlock. It looks like a good aircraft, it's a bonus. The paint job's a bit crappy, which is a downside, and yes, I do rate aircraft slightly by their paint jobs, although you can change them in this game. You know, a nice paint job does help. You know, you fly in your aircraft and you feel like an absolute tank, and you look like an absolute tank. Nothing wrong with that. Wrong with that even. I just mumbled that completely. But yeah, the Ki-43, also known as the Hayabusa or the Hayabusa or the I'm not really sure. It's pronounced something along those lines. I don't know. Search it up. But anyway, you're probably going to know it's the Ki-43, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it's a nice little nimble, manoeuvrable fighter. The armament's pretty good, and by armaments I mean weaponry. The armor itself, terrible. That's the downside pretty much to all the Japanese fighters. They can get shot down like birds with a rifle. They are not going to last very long, I can tell you that now. The problem is, it takes out one bullet to tear through there's no armor on them. See, the other fighters actually have a bit of armor. So when you're shooting at them, you're going to pierce their armor, and then you've got to pierce the actual body of the aircraft. So it takes more bullets. Whereas the Japanese, where they have no armor whatsoever, it doesn't take much to take you down at all. So you have to be very careful when using them. But anyway, the Ki-43 is no exception from this. But the great thing about the Japanese fighters, which is the reason I love them, they're so maneuverable. You can turn really easily by the rudder or by turning it over like that, like I am now. and you never really have to worry too much about being outturned by your opponent. So it's a very beneficial nation to choose if you want a dogfight. But the downside to them, like I just said, is the fact that they can get shut down very easily. But back to the Hayabusa. You see, I do this a lot, I diverse. So I pretty much just described the Hayabusa there. It's got quite good armaments, it's terrible armor, it will get shot down very easily, but it's very maneuverable, and it's quite quick for a fighter anyway. It's not a slow fighter. It travels at about 580 kilometers per hour at top speed, I think. I'm not really sure. But it is a very nice little aircraft to unlock at the early stage. It's not like anything is going to come along and take you out very easily anyway, because the only things you're going up against are not that powerful. I mean, you've got the Hurricane Mark 1 from the British, you've got the Buffalo for the Americans, I think it's the Buffalo anyway. It's called the F2A, I think. For the Russians, I can't remember because I haven't used them yet. For the Germans, again, I can't remember because I haven't used them yet. I think it's the Folgore or something, I'm not really sure, don't hold me to that. But yeah, there's not too much opposition besides like bombers and stuff, and if people do get behind you, chances are they probably will shoot you down, but you know, you can repair if you land. Now, the next good aircraft you're going to get, in my opinion, is, I'd like to say the KI-61A, but to be honest, once one level later, which doesn't take that long anyway, you get the KI-61B, and you'll really notice the difference between the two, because the KI-61A has got a slower turn time than the 1B, by about 3 seconds. The KI-61B has a better armament, so you like better weaponry. You get 4 12.7mm machine guns, as opposed to the KI-61A, sorry, which gets 2 7.7s and then 2 12.7s. So you basically get a better weapons, a better turn time. You lose a little bit of speed as far as I know and stuff like that, but it's nothing. I definitely see more benefit in the KI-61B than I do in the 1A. Now the 1C I haven't actually used yet. Now the only thing I know about it is it has a slower turn time than the 1B, but it does have 2 20mm cannons and 2 12.7mm machine guns. So you do actually get an improved weaponry on the aircraft, with the downside of a slightly slower turn time. But trust me, 23-second turn time is nothing. If you go to the Americans, you can get some really slow turn times. I mean, the Americans are actually known as the boom and zoom aircraft, because the idea is they travel real quick, they're very good weapons, but they don't turn very well. Whereas the Japanese are the complete opposite. They've got terrible armor, but they do turn really well, and they still have quite good weapons. Not amazing, but they're quite good. Now, you're also going to unlock the first variant of the Zero, called the A6M2N. You get this about level 2, I think, or no, level 2, what am I talking about? Level 4 or level 5. It's okay. It's basically a Zero, but it's got a massive float on the bottom. If you don't know what a float is, imagine the bottom of a ship attached to the bottom of a plane. Yeah. You'd imagine that's going to slow it down a bit, and it does. It can pick up some speed if you're in a dive, I suppose, but if you're trying to turn, you're going to notice it's really slow, the rudder control's terrible, and it's just an overall very bad aircraft to go dogfighting. It basically is like the American boom and zoom aircrafts. So what you need to do, if you're using that aircraft, I don't recommend you do, but you may want to try it out. If you can get hits on people, it does have 20mm cannons, so it will rip an aircraft to shreds if you can get like an aim on them. So if you want to use that, you can, but personally I don't recommend it. But I suppose at that time in the Japanese Air Force, you're not going to have that many good aircraft, so it might be something you want to try out, but I don't know. Well, after using it like a few times, I got rid of it because it costs to repair, you know, and it doesn't cost much to repair, don't get me wrong, but you can't land it to repair because it has no landing gear, it has a float. You can't land an aircraft with a float to repair it, as far as I know, not yet anyway. So you kind of just have to die. As soon as you use it, you either live until the end of the match or you're going to die. So you're going to spend money on repairs, chances are, unless you can make your money back through kills, which is possible, I suppose, but it's not as easy as it sounds at that level anyway, especially with that aircraft. I've got a few kills with it, but not that many. So really, in the Zero series of aircraft, because it is a Zero, the first good one you get, now you got 2 versions of it that I like. Now I think they're the only 2 versions actually, so I don't know, I'm talking out my arse now, but you get the A6M2 and the A6M3. I'm just going to go over the differences because they're both very, very good aircraft, but you kind of have to choose one. You can have both. I've got both in this match. In fact, once I die with this aircraft, you're going to see the AM62 and then the AM63 in that order. So, you know, you can see what they're like. But the AM62, it's basically got good weapons. You've got the 20mm cannons, which is great. The 7.7mm machine guns, not so great, but still okay. The cannon has about 200 rounds, and the machine gun has about 1,500, maybe 2,000 rounds. It's okay, but you had to plow a lot of those bullets in. I don't know how that killed me, but it did, and I'm a terrible pilot when it comes to landing sometimes. So here goes the AM62. the A6M2. Sorry, I said it wrong. But yeah, the way the A6M2 works, it's got bad rudder control. You're going to have a hard time turning the aircraft from left to right without moving the wings too much, which makes sense if you think about it. But in like the Ki-61s, for example, it doesn't take much. But because it's got so much ammo in the cannons compared to the A6M3, which is the later aircraft I use in this match, it does pack a bigger punch. But like I said, in order to turn it quick, well, I haven't actually said this yet. I'm lying, talking out my ass again. I love this bit here. It's like, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, I made it, oh my god. That was my exact reaction, but I didn't record my voice during this match because I wasn't talking to anyone. That's the point. But yeah, so in this aircraft, you're going to have trouble turning it with the rudder, in my opinion. Something you can do though is if you do what I'm doing now, this is how you turn quickly in this aircraft, hence why it's called the Zero, because it was so goddamn quick, manoeuvrable, but it was absolutely terrible. I think Zero also stands for the fact that it has zero armor. It doesn't take much to shoot these things down. In fact, when I used this once, I was actually flying towards the battle, and my friend, these people I was talking to, not really my friends, but the people I was talking to in the game, they basically just said, alright, can you help us out? I said, yeah, sure. And I was flying towards them. 2 minutes later, my wing is gone. I was like, what? How this doesn't even, it's a Japanese aircraft. They're basically, just imagine them as paper airplanes with very good weapons. It's kind of like that. But yeah, this thing doesn't turn very well with the rudder, but if you do get the belly to face the opposite direction to the way you want to turn, you can turn very, very quickly. Now the wings, if you press in A and D to turn the wings up and down, like one wing up and the other wing down, I can't really describe it, to pitch left and right I suppose. It's very slow in this aircraft. You're going to have to use the mouse to assist it because so it'll get the rudder involved and the elevators in the back of the aircraft. Because otherwise you're going to be trying to turn the wings and it's going to take you, I don't know, I think I did a test once and the wings turning all the way around by holding D or A or something. It took about 23 seconds or something ridiculous compared to the Ki-61, which does it in 6 seconds. It's ridiculous, but yeah, it's pretty slow. So you got to be careful, and that's why the A6M3 is also on my list, even though it's just another variant of this. Although it has less ammo in the cannon, it only has 100 rounds or 120 rounds or something. So you're going to run out of ammo more quickly. It can plow more. It's got a speedier guns, cannon even, so you can plow more ammo in at an enemy at once. But the benefit of it really is I found it to be a lot more maneuverable. It has a slower turn time by about 0. something seconds. It's very slow. I mean, a very minuscule amount of extra turn time. And people say, well, that could make a difference. Well, it doesn't really. The Japanese are the fastest turners, so unless you're going up against another Japanese aircraft, you're not really at that much of a disadvantage. Unless it's a biplane, then you're probably at a bit of a disadvantage. But you can outspeed them if you want to. But anyway, yeah, if you're going to use the A6M3, it's a very beneficial aircraft in terms of maneuverability. It gains a lot more maneuverability over this version of the aircraft. There is a few downsides though. Like I said, the cannon has less ammo. It has a crappy paint job. That is kind of annoying too. You'll see in a second, it looks like crap. It literally looks like someone just painted the aircraft quite nicely and then flew it through a forest, because it's just lost so much of its paint in places. It's just terrible. You may like it. It really depends on your style, but it is not my style. I don't even like the paint job on this aircraft. I added those red bits on the wing, by the way, before you asked. But yeah. So the A6M3 is a very good aircraft in terms of maneuverability, like I said. It's still a paper airplane, don't expect it to be a tank. And it has less ammo in its cannon and stuff like that. But it's very maneuverable, so enjoy that. See? Crappy paint job. Terrible. Well, anyway, now to the bombers. There are no bombers that I rate besides the last one, the Shinzan and the Renzan, I think they're called. But I haven't used them yet. Now, I only rate them by their stats. I don't actually know what they look like yet. Or, well, actually, no, I know what they look like. I haven't test flown one, basically. Like in a real online battle. I've actually test flown them to see what they're like, I think. I can't remember. I remember test flying a bomber, but test flying a bomb. Out of Bombay, sit on the top, flying. Yeah, anyway, so random. So yeah, I rate them judging by their stats. They have quite good bomb loads. They generally look quite strong. They've got some cannon. They got a cannon on the back, turret on the back. Sorry, a cannon turret on the back. I should have probably said. Not one of those cannons you get on a fucking pirate ship, obviously. 20mm cannon on the back. And then you get some little 7.7mm machine guns, as far as I know, all over the top, all over the sides and stuff to keep you protected. But in terms of bomb loads, it's pretty good. And that's why I don't like most of the bombers all the way up until that point, because they all have terrible bomb loads. You can get like, I don't know, you start off with 50 kilogram bombs, that's standard. Then you move on to 250 kilogram bombs, which is okay. Then 500. But then you get one single 1,000 kilogram bomb. Sounds good in theory, if you haven't played the game, that is. Because some of the aircraft, is like the Shinzan and the Renzan. I think it's called the Renzan, don't hold me to that. I know the one of them is definitely called the Shinzan though. But anyway, they can carry 3 1,000 kilogram bombs. And don't say to me, well, you know, this because they're a later aircraft. Fine. But there are, like, in the other nations, you can get, like, several 1,000 kilogram bombs a little bit earlier. So it's a slight downside of being a bomber on the Japanese side. So my recommendation is just stick to the fighters and then maybe test out the bombers later on. But, you know, it's up to you. But the bombers up until that point, you know, you get your G4M1, which is like the biggest bomber. Well, actually, no, you get the H6K4, which people rate not as a bomber, but as a flying fortress tank destroyer of worlds type deal, because it's got a cannon on the back, it's got loads of machine guns all over it, it's heavily armoured, so you can spend a lot of time just flying near fighters and just taking them out with your blooming bomber. You can do a little bit of bombing on some smaller targets, obviously, but it's not very good at bombing in general, until you level it up a little bit, I suppose. But I don't really like it because it's very slow and dull, and I don't like it. Because I'm not really a bomber, I like fighting, it's fun. But in the G4M1, which you unlock later on, it's okay again, but crappy bomb loads, and it's the same for all the Ki-49 models. You get crappy bomb loads. Actually, no, you do get a couple of torpedoes, as far as I know. They're actually really useful. Sorry, if you're on a map which has ships, like this map, for example, or Pearl Harbor, or one of the other maps like what's it called, Midway and stuff like that. So you get some pretty good uses for them on those maps, but if you're just trying to bomb pillboxes, which you're going to get on some maps, you're not going to be doing that with like 250 kilogram bombs. You probably could if you piled enough of them into one, but not to start off with you want. So yeah, I don't really rate the bombers until later on in the game. Then you start to get the good bombers for the Japanese days. If you want to be a bomber, I recommend you go to another nation like Russia or something like that. But if you want to be a fighter, Japanese is your thing, probably. I mean, if you want to be quick at maneuverability and stuff. But if you don't want to get shot down, then Japanese is definitely not your thing. So that's pretty much it for the Japanese plane. So if that's all you was here for, then please post a like, comment with your thoughts and opinions, and maybe subscribe for more. It's up to you. But if you want to stick around for some channel updates, then please go ahead. So yeah, I played Arma 3 yesterday. I bought it. Well, actually no, it wasn't yesterday, the day before actually now. But yeah, I played it yesterday, the day before, and this morning. It is a very good game. I would say that now off the bat. Slight issues with it, which I'm going to get into in a bit more detail when I get it. But basically, I was told I could run it on recommended, and I can run it above minimum. It depends. I think it's something to do with the settings. I've got something on which is causing my frames to drop, and I don't know what it is. I've been tweaking around with them, and it's not really sorting the problem out too much. I'm getting about 50, maybe 60 frames per second if I'm on in a deserty area. If I'm near a town, I get about 40 frames per second. If I'm in the woods, I get like 25, maybe 30 frames per second. The woods actually, even on my friend has actually got a much better rig than I have, computer, and he has this trouble too. He goes from like 80, well, he doesn't actually know the specific frames, but you can definitely see a massive drop between being in like a town or something, or in a desert, to going in the woods. It drops the frames so much, and this is a problem I've been having in the game, but I'm not really sure how that's going to work. But I'm going to be chucking it out to you guys as soon as possible. I just need to play a little bit more of it, really. I'm just learning the basics. I'm not very good at the game at the moment. I am thoroughly enjoying it, though, I'll tell you that. And now you get to see my awesome score. So, yeah, and the other thing is I'm also going to be doing a podcast next week. It will just be like 45 minutes to an hour, and I'm going to do like a really long one. It's just a test, really. I want to see if you guys enjoy it or not. It'll be a post-commentary on a couple of COD games we played. And if you enjoy it, then, you know, I'll keep posting it. Otherwise, I'll just probably get rid of it for a little while. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please post a like. It really helps me out. Comment with your thoughts and opinions. And if you're new around here, subscribe for more, and have a nice day. Catch you guys later.